To I want to go over this video of this theory that I came up with. And I'm gonna write it right now. Why knowledge is not real, but everyone is right. So, with this concept that this theory that I came up with, this one is a very interesting one. And the reason why I say why knowledge is not real is because for knowledge to be actually real, and I'm going to say for knowledge to be actually real to you, you must be studying it and observing what you are studying. So, I'm going to try to make this video short, but I don't know if it is. But the thing is that the people who come up with knowledge, and to even come up with knowledge inside of my mind, it's a funny concept in my mind. Um, but the thing is that for somebody to come up with knowledge, there has to be somebody also present there to study it and observe it to make this knowledge worldwide to everybody. And even if this knowledge was studied and observed by somebody else, you yourself need to also be studying what that thing is and observing what that thing is. So, a lot of the times, us as people, what we're doing in life is that we're actually just living off of other people's quote unquote knowledge or concepts or ideas, right? And we're just driving off. So I can use this example as this, right? Um, a lot of us drive cars, but not a lot of us know how the car works, right? A lot of us drive cars, but a lot of us don't know what's inside of the car. We don't know what type of engine the car is. And we have to realize that now you would say to me, you know, okay, you're driving a car and there's studies about and there's data about a car. So, surely, you know, knowledge in some way does exist. But I would say to you that you have to understand that even though that this car that is in front of me, right, is there and it has some way of actually working, right? You have to understand that to be able to get to the concept and how we were able to drive, it actually just came up by coincidence, right? And a lot of these mechanisms and knowledge that has come up were off of just a coincidence. It just found itself. And if you actually go back and learn about studies of how people have come up with whether it was tools or whether it was certain things, a lot of it was just off of knowledge that has already been applied to something else and somebody created something else off of that knowledge. So knowledge in itself is is really a combination of a lot of things. It's a combination of a lot of things, right? And when you get down to the when you get down into the deeper thoughts of this situation, you're really realizing that everybody is just living in their own construct, right? So Everyone is living in their own construct. And the interesting thing and the scary thing about this, and this is where my life started to kind of things started to kind of collapse, is that when you start to understand that everyone is living in their own construct, and you start to understand that everybody can basically apply this construct onto you, you would start to kind of step out of the box. So when somebody comes up with a construct, right, you have to understand that anybody can make a construct make sense. Anybody can make a construct make sense because they themselves are the ones that are creating this construct. They themselves are creating this construct. So, and it's so the thing is that what's really happening, so what's really happening is we're really just experiencing people's minds. That's all we're doing inside of this world, is that we're really just experiencing people's minds, and we're just really just experiencing other people. And you have to realize that any construct that you apply into your life, if you give enough energy and if you give enough thought inside of it, you can actually make that construct come to life. And you can actually make this construct eventually make sense. You can make anything make sense. And people don't really understand this concept. And I know it kind of goes out of people's brain. But this is how a lot of people just make things up. And let's say, for instance, I'm on YouTube, and I have to study the YouTube algorithm. I have to study how YouTube works and yada yada yada, how everything works inside of it for me to kind of propel my channel. But YouTube in itself, is it actually a real thing? Think about it. Just give yourself a real thought about it. It is real, but it's not real. And the only reason why it's real is because we have given it a reason for it to be real. So we have given it a reason to be real. So I kind of want to also tie this into, this is why everybody is right? Because everybody is living in their own mind. Everybody is living in their own construct. So the thing is that what I've noticed when talking to people is that everybody is fighting their own battles. So everybody knows how to, in some way, fight their battles. And everybody knows in some way, whether you think it or not, and you have the keys to whatever it is to defeat that battle that you are playing inside of your mind. This is why I also listen to people who come into your life. It's important to listen to them because you don't know when you're going to face that same construct that they're also thinking inside of their mind, right? There's going to be a time possibly where that construct of their mind comes into your mind and you have to learn how to beat that construct. But you have to understand that knowledge resides, it resides in everybody, but at the same time, it's only real if it's applied if it's being applied to you, right? Um, that's why I would say that everybody is the hero in their story. And even the villain is a hero inside of their own story, because you never know when you also will become the villain, right? So there are things to learn from everybody. I would say the only thing that is actually, I would say the only thing inside of my theory of thought that I can say is truly real, that people can study, uh and I feel like that's the only thing that people are studying, is nature. Nature is the only thing that is, I would say, is real, because everything comes from nature. Everything is built off of nature. So nature is the only thing that has a fundamental construct that has been here from years, for lifetimes, right? We can, like, you have to understand, water cannot be constructed, it cannot be created, it was just here. Same thing with like fruits or things like that. These are things that we can say that we cannot create. Well, we have people creating, quote unquote, I don't know, but people are saying that there's, fake fruits and fake fishes that people can imitate. But if you think about it, you know, nature is like, people are so fascinated by nature that they are trying to imitate it. You even see here that people are trying to clone people. So everything comes from nature. Everything is built off of nature. And you have to understand, when you're actually seeing certain mechanisms and certain things that have been built, and I've seen this inside of my own life. uh I've created things out of thin air, out of just like accidentally falling into this situation, right? So I've started to realize that a lot of people who have come up with ideas, they're just really just building off of nature. And two, a lot of people have accidentally found things that have worked. And three, um what has happened, in three, you have to understand that what has already been created has a foundation to create something else off of. And when you start to see that, now people are just, what's happening now is that people are just building off, uh um what is really happening is that people are now, if you take those three concepts of what I just said, people are now trying to study that knowledge, that data, right? So people try to study nature. People study things that they have accidentally come across. And then people study uh um off of those accidents that they have found out, and they create things off of those accidents. And then they study that thing that they have created, that they have accidentally stumbled upon, if you get what I'm trying to say. So the thing is that knowledge in itself, it can be everlasting. If you constantly keep studying knowledge, you will find yourself in a loop. You will constantly be stuck inside of a loop. And I mean, if you want to be in that loop, go ahead. I mean, feel free. But eventually there's going to have to be a period where you get out of the loop and you say, like, nothing is really real. I mean, if you want to play the game, you can play the game, but there's eventually a time period where you will say to yourself, you know, I have to get out of this loop, because that's all it is a loop of everlasting creations of things that, are like, it's just a everlasting loop of um recreations that were made off of creations that you can extract data from, that you can possibly make money from. And people just create the loops and loops and loops over and over again. And if you watch TVs and shows, people say this. There's one movie that I can talk about. If you watch The Wolf of Wall Street, they talk about this concept very well. It was I forget his name, but it's the guy who's it's the broker that Leonardo DiCaprio first talks to when he's entering into Wall Street, and they're both at the dinner table, and the guy makes up that song. He talks about this construct, and he talks about how basically you create anything out of thin air. And you get people to buy into those basically creations. But let me know what you guys think about this. Am I right? Am I wrong? What's your take? Peace.